everyone, and welcome to the Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the Disney Pixar film Toy Story 5, the fifth film, obviously, in this franchise. And once again, we have Tom Hanks returning, Tim Allen, Joan Cusack returning. Additions to this cast, we have Conan O'Brien, Scarlett Spears, Greta Lee, Craig Robinson, and this is set 2 years after the events of the fourth film in the franchise, and it follows Jessie, Woody, and Buzz as they and other toys deal with the presence of Lilypad, a tablet, and a new favorite plaything for Bonnie. The Toy Story franchise is, I don't know, how can you describe it? One of the most universally loved franchises in movie history. Not too many people poo-poo on the Toy Story franchise. I mean, it's a beloved franchise all around. I don't care the age, your race, your nationality, your sexuality. I don't care what it is. If you're a Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. I think everybody loves Toy Story, and rightfully so. It is a well put together franchise. It's always beautifully written, emotional, funny. It appeals to children and adults alike. It does it in a smart way that a lot of live action movies don't even do right. But when it comes to animated films, a lot of animated films can't do it right. But Toy Story always got it right. And so we're 5 movies in, and I think we've drained all the emotion that you can. At least you thought you could out of this franchise. I remember watching Toy Story 3, and I was like, why are we getting another one? And why? And then by the end of that movie, I was just a blubbering fool like everybody else, crying at the end of that movie. And we get to the 5th film today, and I pretty much had the same sentiments. I'm like, okay, do we really need another Toy Story? And well, I will say I enjoyed Toy Story 5. I mean, it's still Toy Story. Nothing new here. We didn't really reinvent the wheel other than the fact, okay, we're going in another direction. We're introducing electronics into the picture, which, I remember as a father and my girls growing up, and they grew up or came up around the time when electronics started playing a big part of childhood, toys and Barbie dolls and all that other good stuff. That pretty much, that was the end of it when my girls got of playing age. And it shifted to iPhones and iPads and Xboxes and Nintendo Switch and all this other good stuff that just destroyed my pocketbook and bank account. So I can relate to this to this premise very, very well. I felt, okay, if we're gonna do another Toy Story, if we're getting another Toy Story, and we're gonna introduce this tablet and electronics and all that other good stuff that kids are accustomed to now, all right, this will be the perfect opportunity to make that transition. And the film, once again, does a great job of doing that. It's not much you can say about the voice cast here. I mean, it's perfect, man. Number one, Tom Hanks. As soon as you have Tom Hanks, that's it. It's lights out. We know that we're getting a good cast here. Tim Allen returning. All of the returning cast members are perfect. We've heard them portray these characters for 4 movies already. So there's no reason to doubt that they wouldn't deliver, and they did deliver. Our new additions here with Greta Lee, she's playing Lilypad here, the tablet that comes into play, or the antagonist of this film, and I say that loosely, but I think she did a pretty decent job as well. But the one who stole this movie was Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien was my favorite part of this movie. He voices Smarty Pants, I think that's the name of the character, and stole every scene that he was in. He stole it, and it just took over the movie in my eyes. I wanted more of Smarty Pants in this film. I'll say this much about Toy Story 5. I think this should be it. I think we've milked this cow dry. It's no more milk left in the teats of that cow. We're good because we're tiptoeing into jumping the shark territory when we come to Toy Story 6 or stuff like that. I think we need to stop at this point because we've seen it all. There's really no other direction this film could go, and the film seemed to struggle at times to try to incorporate everybody into the story. Woody takes a back seat in this film, and I'm not mad at that. It's fine because this is more of a Jessie story as we follow her character throughout the film, and that was the right decision to make. You know, everybody gets their turn. I think we've got the Woody story. We've gotten the Buzz story. So to get the Jessie-led story, it was long overdue. I liked her as the lead of this film. I liked the Buzz storyline throughout. The Buzz Lightyear part of the part of this. I think it makes up for the Lightyear movie that I think, just like this franchise is storied or historically loved, I should say. The Lightyear film, not so much. That movie did not appeal to anybody. And this movie, Toy Story 5, finds a cute, funny way to poo-poo on Lightyear. It directly references Lightyear in a smart, funny way that just had me cracking up. It was the funniest part to me. But my major takeaway from Toy Story 5, this is the first time I walked away from a Toy Story film and emotionally I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any dread. I didn't feel like this was the end. Every Toy Story film basically is them fighting for their survival, fighting to stay relevant to their children, you know, to the ones playing with them, and showing the need for the toys for these children, you know. And I didn't feel that in this movie. It happens the moment it happens, but it was no emotional weight behind it like it did in, let's say, a Toy Story 3 or even in Toy Story 4, which wasn't up to the quality of the first three films, but it was still a respectable addition to this franchise. This movie here, even though it wasn't bad, I think it fits into this franchise pretty well, but it just didn't have the same oomph that the previous four films have, whereas you're emotionally connected to our characters. And one of the main reasons for that was the antagonist. There was no antagonist. You know, Lilypad, yeah, for the majority of the film, or I would say half of the film, that was the villain. This tablet was the villain and doing some very villainous things. And does make a turn, does make a change, and sees the errors of their ways. But it wasn't from our protagonist. You know, there was no direct conflict between the protagonist and the antagonist, or the hero and the villain, to put it plainly. It was more of a self-realization type thing. You know, it was like, oh, wait, I'm wrong. I'm doing something wrong here. It just changed, you know. Our hero's actions didn't dictate the change in our antagonist. And it kind of made the heroes here, being Jessie and Woody and Buzz, all their actions were kind of pointless, throughout the film, because that their actions didn't dictate the change. And that's where I'm kind of like, oh man, they missed the mark here. They kind of missed the mark on that. The jokes were funny. I think they did mix in some adult humor. I like the Woody getting old thing. I like all that, but aside from that, it really wasn't too much. Nothing that really balanced the scales as far as kids and adult humor. And I didn't and I'm not saying adult humor like crude, little innuendos and sexual innuendos and stuff like that. No, I'm not talking about that. I just be like something that will kind of go over a kid's head because they don't know what you're talking about type thing, but the parents get it. Those type of jokes. There weren't too many of those. With all that being said, will a child enjoy Toy Story 5? Absolutely. It's absolutely. Your kids will have the time of their life with Toy Story 5. Is that the main demographic that they're aiming for in this? Absolutely. Yeah, this is it's a cartoon. So in that regard, hey, thumbs up. They did what they were supposed to do. But for the parents to have to take them here, I didn't really see anything that would keep the parents engaged in this movie throughout. Now, you will get engaged, but it took a while to get there. It took a while for it to really pick up. I'll say about 45 minutes into this movie before I really got invested into what was going on. Prior to that, it was more just spinning our wheels, It was we were wasting time just to fill in enough time to make this a theatrical runtime. Other than that, after that, it really started to pick up and I started to enjoy myself. But they didn't solely sit down and make this movie for Kevin Reed. They made it for everybody. And I think that everybody can enjoy it. I did enjoy it. Is it up there with some of the best Toy Story films? No. It sits right where it's sitting at right now with me as far as Toy Story films at number 5. But it was still decent enough to enjoy. I give Toy Story 5 a letter grade of a B-. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. I think that if you're a parent of small children and want to take them to a movie, this is the perfect movie to take them to. I highly recommend it in that regard, but just be prepared to kind of doze off maybe a couple of moments. But the movie does pick up and make it a little exciting for the children and adults alike as the film goes along. I would like to know, what did you think of Toy Story 5, and do you think that maybe they ought to pump the brakes on the Toy Story franchise for a while? Let me know. DKBRadioNetwork.com. You can subscribe and comment on all my reviews over there. You can also subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube as well. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Toy Story 5. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.